Could there be a changing in the guard at running back? Not only in Tampa Bay, but how about in Las Vegas? We're going to get into that right here. This week's edition of Spiking the Pigskin. Welcome, everybody, to another edition for Spiking the Pigskin. I am your host, Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, and as always, we are powered by Win Daily Sports. Make sure you're using the code word HEAT, H-E-A-T, to get your 50% off. Again, that is $7.50 a week. That's $25 a month, and we're hitting at a rapid clip. We're on a heater right now, so now's the time to get in. We've just had a $10,000 ticket plus in DFS, $2,500 in props. I hit 4 of 5 props the other day on Thursday Night Football, and we continue to hit on these waiver plays. If you're not listening, you need to be listening right now because we're going to do some waiver updates. We're going to give you an idea of who you should pick up. Only 3 guys this week. As the seasons go on, this list tends to get shorter and shorter, but I look at the long game. By the way, before we get to the long game, I hope everybody was listening in the offseason when I mentioned specific names on the Sirius show every Sunday night when me and Dave Glecker would talk for 2 hours about who you should draft, who you should look at, and specifically about running back. When I talked about Saquon Barkley, and I know it's only a few weeks, but let me just tell you something. The way this offense is constructed, you're seeing it right now, that Saquon Barkley is the number 1 guy, okay? Meaning he's the number 1 guy in fantasy when it comes to running backs. I'm not ashamed to say it. And when you see Christian McCaffrey getting a second opinion in Germany based on his tendonitis, that's an issue. That's an issue. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Christian McCaffrey does not suit up at all this year. He will be out. He will be on IR for the rest of the year. I think he will not play, and that's a reason why I said I wouldn't draft him number 1. And then you look at Bijan Robinson. What's going on out there in Atlanta? He's not getting everything we thought he would, which is another reason why I said not to draft him number 1. And then you look at the other back in Breece Hall, and then there's this other guy, Brielle Allen, coming in, looking a little better. I have to say it. And if Aaron Rodgers loves Brielle Allen, guess what? Brielle Allen will be the guy over Breece Hall. It's just stuff that you have to look at. So we're going to get into week 4 for the waiver wire. And I'm going to bring up 2 names, well, actually 3 names, 1 a quarterback, 1 a running back, and 1 a receiver. And the quarterback is probably going to be somebody that not a lot of people are going to get into. And that's going to be Bo Nix. And everybody's like, Bo Nix hasn't even thrown a touchdown yet. Trust me, I understand. He's getting more comfortable. Just remember something. He has a Hall of Fame, Super Bowl winning offensive mastermind in Sean Payton, who's finally getting the pieces together to say, you know what? This is my stamp on this team. And Bo Nix has gone from 57 to 69% completion percentage in a matter of 2 weeks. That's drastic. He's also averaging at least 35 yards per game, and he has 2 touchdowns on the ground in his last 3, or I should say first 3. What that is, it's a product of Sean Payton learning this kid, learning the system, and opening him up to something he's comfortable with. So I could definitely see Bo Nix being a spot starter going on, and who knows? He may have a stretch run of 3 or 4 games where we're all going, wow, was this, remember when Danny Jones, before he stunk, when Daniel Jones would get you some actually good fantasy points? I think we're going to be in line for some of that with Bo Nix. So I think he's a guy that you could pluck off right now. Another guy you could pluck off right now is, again, playing the long game. And I know everybody was afraid to touch this guy because the bell count, Ramondre Stevenson. But how about Antonio Gibson? We need to start looking at Antonio Gibson. Whether Ramondre was hurt or came out of the game, it doesn't matter. This guy could start to see more touches based on the game script because he's been so productive when he's gotten the ball. 7 yards per carry, 125 yards the last 2 games. It's been in bunches, but I'm telling you, from a receiving standpoint and a running standpoint, if they do the switch to Drake May, this move's going to be bigger because he's going to throw a lot of ins and outs. There are going to be 2 back sets. There's going to be a lot of things going on in that team that's going to make Antonio Gibson very, very valuable. Now, let's go to the LA Rams. And this isn't going to be a pick everybody's talking about. This is going to be the other guy. Remember, I always go the different way, but I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to jump on that Tutu Atwell wagon. Now, he's a jump starter for this offense. And I know he was out-snapped by Weddington. I get it. I don't care. I'm just looking at the way they're going to utilize this offense. And I'm looking at a guy who could do it all. He could do jet sweeps. He could be in 3 wide receiver sets. sets. He could be 4 wide receiver sets. He could actually get the damn ball at the running back position. And when you have a guy like Sean McVay who's going to cook up so many different offensive plays and a veteran quarterback in Matthew Stafford, this is a guy, in my opinion, that you really, really want to own in this Rams offense, especially when the prospects of Cooper Kupp with a lingering injury and Puka Nacua may not play the rest of this year. He's a guy that you want to get in on. So I'm telling you, he's going to be one of my favorites is Tutu Atwell. I really think he's going to do some justice. Now let's get to some updates from previous weeks. 3 names I can specifically tell you. Alexander Madison, who I told you to draft. I don't know if you listened or not. Maybe you didn't. You're still sitting here with Zamir White going, what the hell is going on? Well, guess what? If you picked them off when I told you after week 1, just in case you didn't draft them, Alexander Madison scored another touchdown. And by the way, 70+% of the snaps in the backfield. Guess how many Zamir White had? 22%. That's something you really need to look into. And then how about Jalen Tolbert? I told you last week, he's the guy to pick up. I know he only got 3 catches, but he scored again. He's getting the looks when it needs to happen. He is going to be a bona fide wide receiver too. And with all these injuries to all these wide receivers and all these lackluster performances, he can be very productive as long as Dak Prescott gets back on track, which it's inevitable that he's going to do, and start throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game. And then in Tampa Bay, we've already talked about it. We told you to draft Bucky Irving. Okay, if you didn't draft him, we told you to handcuff him in week 1. We told you to pick him up, and all he's been doing is 6.2 yards per carry, and all of a sudden now, Todd Bowles says, yeah, we're going to get this kid more opportunities. This kid deserves to hold the ball as opposed to 2.1 yards per carry in Rachaad White. It's going to be first and second down, Bucky Irving. It's going to be third and passing with Rachaad White. So I hope you got on the Bucky Irving train quickly. Now, like we like to do, let's close out with some Thursday Night Football bets to get you ready. Again, we hit a couple last week. We almost hit a nice parlay. I'm really feeling some of these plays for this week. Anytime I can get a kicker with plus money, and that's Greg Joseph over 1.5 field goals. Right now it's plus money at plus 105 for the New York Giants. I'm taking it on a team that has been able to move the ball, but Thursday Night Football, weird, man. Those games are weird. They can either go one of 2 ways, and I think 1.5 field goals is very attainable. I mean, he's going to kick at least 2. So and he's going to make them, obviously, right? So I do like that. The Devil Singletary got involved a lot more last week. He looked very, very elusive, looked very good. His prop of over 16.5 receiving yards, you got to do it, minus 115. That's a number right now that I think is going to continue to go down, meaning it's going to keep getting juiced up because it's a very low number. Our projection model right now has them anywhere between 13 and 18. I think this is a 20 to 25 receiving game for Devin Singletary. And then we're going to go right back to our waiver wire gem and Jalen Tolbert. Over 2.5 receptions. He's had at least this number his past 2 weeks. It's going to continue to get more as this offense evolves around him. So give me the over 2.5 for Tolbert. And let's go with his quarterback, man. Last week we hit on Aaron Rodgers. Over 1.5 touchdowns. I'm feeling the same way with Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb gets back on track this week. You're going to get a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. You're going to get a touchdown to Jalen Tolbert, and he's going to get that over 1.5, 2+ touchdowns for Dak Prescott. Right now, I think that number is sitting around minus 110. I think it's going to get juiced up again, just like Aaron's did. So get it in early and make sure you get ready to win some cash. Again, Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, as always, Spiking the Pigskin podcast right here, powered by Win Daily. Make sure you're getting involved. Get that 50% off. Code word HEAT. You can get a month for $25. You can get 3 months for $75. You can get a friggin' year for $250, man. And guess what? You could have won that just last week alone with the prop market and been playing with house money for the entire year. And it's not just for football. It encapsulates every single prop model that we have, whether it be hockey, whether it be tennis, whether it be League of Nations, whether it be NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, you name it, we have it all. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thanks again for the support. Hit me up at Discord. I will say this. Sometimes Discord gets a little crazy. So direct message me in Discord. That's why I'll get the alerts. And if you want to email me, Tony@WinDailySports.com, I'm always available to help you with your lineup, your decisions, who to pick up, some props that I like. We do it all right here at Win Daily Sports. Thanks for tuning in. And everybody, let's look forward to be spiking the pigskin this week.